Yo YouTube, what's going on? It's HIGHMMA, and today we are here to discuss the events of last night, UFC 309. Jon Jones getting that win over Stipe Miocic. Not that anyone was expecting anything different. Now, the way that he actually got the win was interesting. That spinning back kick to the body was nasty as fuck. But I do have my thoughts and opinions on the fight, and they are not exactly the nicest. So let's not fuck around with our dicks at our palms. Let's get straight into the fights. The first one we are talking about today is Jon Jones versus Stipe Miocic. Now, if we take all of the other things surrounding this fight, like the Aspinall shit, the age of Stipe Miocic, everything like that, this was a good win for Jon Jones. It was a dominant win. There weren't really any moments in the fight Stipe was finding real success. You know, Jon Jones in the first round, like a lot of people were saying that it was a 10-8. He got Stipe down, absolutely pummeled his face in. Second round, don't get me wrong, Stipe did a bit better. Some people actually say that Stipe won the round. I disagree. I don't think he won the round at all. I think that's just people trying to be nice to Stipe. And then in the third round, Jon Jones was dominating again. And towards the end, he found that spinning back kick TKO. Oh, it was hard to watch because, like, knowing how old Stipe is and the fact that he's been a full-time firefighter for the last 4 years and he's just getting absolutely picked apart by one of the best fighters in the organization, it just feels cruel. Almost similar to the feeling I had watching Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson. Don't get me wrong, the settings and the circumstances aren't exactly the exact same, but it just feels the same. We're seeing an old man way out of his prime getting beat up on, and he can't do anything about it because he doesn't have the skills he once had. Me personally, I feel like if this was current Jon Jones versus prime Stipe Miocic, the fight would have gone a lot differently, honestly. I think Stipe Miocic probably would have been able to find Jon's chin, because despite the fact that Jon dominated most of this fight, something I have to say is, even though he was dominating, he didn't look the best. He was very open when he was moving back. This wasn't the best version of Jon Jones. He's showing his age in this fight. Like, technically on the feet, he doesn't look bad against a 42-year-old Stipe Miocic. Would he look that good against Tom Aspinall? No, he wouldn't. And I hate to keep talking about it because it feels like the only thing anyone is talking about. But we have to say it. Tom Aspinall would run through Jon Jones, and this fight proved it. And if you disagree, I'd love to hear your argument, other than, oh my god, he's the GOAT. Because you can't formulate an argument to explain how Jon Jones would beat current Tom Aspinall. It just wouldn't happen. I really don't think it would. So, there are my thoughts on Jon Jones versus Stipe Miocic. I'm not going to talk about it anymore because I'm going to be going live later today on TikTok, and we're going to be talking about it there as well. So, if you want to check that out, it's hi.mma on TikTok. But let's keep moving through the card. The next fight we are going to talk about today is Charles Oliveira versus Michael Chandler. Now, I have so much to say about this fight. This is probably going to be a bit of a hefty segment of the video because I picked Michael Chandler, bro. I picked my boy, Muscle Milk Mike, to get it done, and he didn't, even though, don't get me wrong, he got close. Now, there's so much to say. I just thought that moment in round 5 that Chandler had, where he was just absolutely beating the shit out of Oliveira, was going to take place a lot earlier in the fight, and I thought it was going to do some decent damage to Oliveira's chin going into the next 4 rounds, and that we would see Chandler find the finish in that way. But that didn't happen because early in the fight, Oliveira actually dominated. He didn't dominate in an entertaining way, though. This is what I'm saying, and this is the main thing I want to talk about today. He was hugging, bro. He was on the ground. He wasn't looking for fucking submissions. He wasn't looking for ground and pound. He was just hugging. And when they were on the feet, don't get me wrong, Oliveira saw tons of success, something that I did not expect at all. So I've got to hold my hands up and say, yeah, that's where I was predicting incorrectly. But in terms of round 5, that's how I thought more of the fight was going to go. You know, you got Chandler rushing forward, forcing Oliveira on the back foot, you know, like showing the holes in his stand-up defensively and just pummeling him. But he just couldn't do it. He couldn't do it. Oliveira's takedowns were doing really well. And Mike, I think he was showing the fact that he really has been out of the UFC for 2 years and that the ring rust is really there. And it really makes you think, what the fuck would have happened if this guy fought Conor McGregor? Because I get that McGregor's been out for ages as well, but he looked really, really fucking bad. And I feel like if Conor McGregor had any sort of sharpness about him, if that fight was to go ahead and take place back in June or whenever it was, Conor McGregor would have beat the fucking shit out of him. Michael Chandler did not look good at all, and I honestly think if the Michael Chandler that fought Oliveira in the first fight fought this version of Charles Oliveira, he would finish him. I don't think this is the best version of Charles Oliveira. I just think he won. I don't think this is the same Oliveira that was against Arman Tsarukyan. I think this is a more tired, more out of shape version, and he still beat Michael Chandler. So all props to Charles Oliveira. Great win, boring fight, but what can you say? Not every fight is going to be entertaining. I think this is another example of when, rematches take place and fighters understand the person they're against because they have that cage time with them. They know their tendencies, so they tend to be a little bit more patient with each other and everything takes a little bit more time. Probably why Oliveira was going for so much grappling early on and taking the back of Michael Chandler a lot throughout the fight. We saw in round 5, Chandler was just slamming himself down because he knew that Oliveira wasn't going to attack for a choke, so he just kept slamming and standing up. Yeah, that's great for fan relief, but in reality, that's just fucking dumb on Oliveira's part. Bro wasn't looking for the submission. He was very, very comfortable to just hug it out until the end of the fight. That's not a fighter spirit, man. That's not right, bro. Come the fuck on, man. Maybe I'm just pissed off that I got my pick wrong. I really wanted Chandler to win, but it is what it is, man. We're going to keep moving through the card, though. We've got some more fights to talk about before I close out today's video. The next one we are talking about is Bo Nickal versus Paul Craig. Now, what can I say about this fight? It wasn't boring, it was just very textbook. You've got Bo Nickal, who's striking like someone who just picked up the pad on UFC fucking 2. Some of the most simple striking I've ever seen. And how bad is the striking of Paul Craig to not even be doing that well either? This was pretty even on the feet, with Bo Nickal just seeing that little bit more success. I see a couple people crying that Paul Craig should have won. I don't see the argument for it at all. But something to take note of, in this fight, there was barely any grappling. Bo Nickal didn't want to grapple. It would have been interesting to see what would have happened. Potentially Paul Craig getting one of his fluky chokes. But I will reveal what my prediction was. I predicted Bo Nickal to win. I predicted him to win by finish in the second round. I thought he was going to finish Paul Craig. And don't get me wrong, there were a couple times that he wobbled Paul Craig, but he just didn't really go for the finish. I'm not sure why. Bo Nickal is just one of those fighters where you can rely on him to take the most boring move when there is an exciting option there. He will just go for the boring move. You can't really blame him for it. He wanted to secure the win. Very, very nice. Whatever. Decision win again. It's just really fucking annoying to watch when you know that he could have finished Paul Craig if he would have been that little bit more aggressive. But you know what? I'm not going to complain too much. I got my pick right. But the thing is I think most of us picked Bo Nickal. And if you really picked Paul Craig going into that, you must have either just been hoping that he was going to get one of his fluky chokes, or you're a super fan. Because if you really thought that Paul Craig was going to technically pick apart Bo Nickal, it's just wrong, isn't it? It's just wrong. Even though Bo Nickal is really green in the striking department, his grappling is still world class, and it will be interesting to see who he fights next. Hopefully someone more on the striker kind of side, so we can see him mixing his grappling, because that's what I want to see. This motherfucker's Olympic or US champion wrestling or whatever the fuck it is. So let's see your wrestling then, bro. Why are you striking like it's motherfucking UFC Undisputed? Let's see some real fucking wrestling, man. Show us what you can do. But other than all of that, it is good to see a rising contender still getting wins. He hasn't broken the win streak yet. It's still going. So I'm very, very happy for Bo Nickal, especially now that a lot of people don't like him. I'll probably like him more. I always love to get behind the fighters that everyone's hating on. So big ups to Bo Nickal. And, all respect to Paul Craig, a legend of the game. And let's keep moving through this card, because I can't be talking about this boring ass fight anymore. The next motherfucker we are talking about is Mauricio Ruffy. I don't even remember the name of his opponent. I think it's something long top. I might have that wrong. But listen, man, Ruffy looked really good. Another one of the fighting nerds going out there getting a win. I swear they're still undefeated in the UFC. It's just crazy what these people are doing. Now, I was a little bit disappointed that he didn't find the finish, but I'm not nearly as annoyed as I was about him not finding the finish as I was with, like, Bo Nickel, because at least Mauricio Ruffi was still absolutely styling on his opponent, showing all of his skills, showing people why he is a future top contender in the UFC. I don't give a fuck. I am rooting for this dude, bro. He is so sick. He's got that Conor McGregor style, but it's like it's upgraded. I love watching him fight. It is very, very nostalgic almost to, you know, gives me the same feeling I had when I was a kid, man. Watching Conor McGregor going out there, boxing up Alvarez. You know what I'm saying? Mendes. That's what these kind of fights feel like with Mauricio Ruffi. I really like this guy, man. But, like I said, he did get that decision win, so we might not see him get thrown up there in the rankings. We don't know who he's going to be taking on next. I would love to see a Rebecca fight. I think that he's really scrappy, and that if there's anyone that can, you know, upset Mauricio Ruffi, it will probably be Rebecca. If not him, maybe Oralby. One of those two, man. That would be a good fight. I think that'd be really entertaining. But other than that, Mauricio Ruffi's still looking really good. The Fighting Nerds takeover is still in action. Now, something I want to talk about the Fighting Nerds, just quickly at the end of this video. Do I think any of these motherfuckers are going to win a belt? I think we could see Caio Borralho potentially win a belt, as long as he doesn't have to fight Khamzat Chimaev, and that is very unlikely given the fact that Khamzat is in the title picture now. I feel like Khamzat would beat him, just the truth. Gene Silva, I think he could potentially find the belt at featherweight, maybe. As long as Topuria still isn't holding the belt by the time he gets his title shot. Also very unlikely. Now, who else? I don't really know. Maybe Bruna Brazil can get a fucking belt in women's MMA. Who gives a fuck about that? We're not interested. But Mauricio Ruffi in lightweight, can he get the belt? We never know. I feel like if someone like Arman Tsarukyan has the belt by the time his title shot comes around, if he does reach that level of the lightweight division, I really think we could see Mauricio Ruffi become a champ, man. I really do. I don't know, man. As long as Islam isn't there, Mauricio Ruffi has a chance, and I'm going to be fucking rooting for him all the way. So, big win for Mauricio Ruffi, continuing out his win streak, really impressive. But you know what? I'm going to wrap up today's video here. I want to thank you all for watching. You know, it took quite a while for me to get another video out. I was going to make one in the middle of the week, but I've been working, boys, and I couldn't be arsed. So I need to get back on my grind with these videos. Expect like 3 or 4 in the upcoming week. I want to thank you all for watching. I hope you have a nice day, evening, night, whatever the fuck you're doing. And you know what I'm going to say. You don't have to like. You don't have to subscribe. Do what the fuck you want, man. And I'll catch you all later. Peace out.